can still live. For now.
I am the doom at the door. You will fail. Purify. Starfire! Starfire! Purify!
Hello everyone, Lid here. So that is the showcase for this setup, and this setup is infernalist skeletal frost mage. And this build is a very good all-rounder. It have a very good single target. It have a decent kill speed. Thanks to this person's on my comment section from my last video, the wild shot worked fantastic. And it's also very comfortable to play. When I'm in maps, I'm just walking around and the minion do all the work. So it's very comfortable to play. Now the one that I'm going to show you today is the end game setup. So it will be quite expensive if you look at all the gear, but I will talk about the more budget version to approach to it, because I don't think you need that much damage if you're starting early on. If you check my last video, even with 5 link, I can delete like the difficulty 1, difficulty bosses pretty easily, so you do not need that much DPS early on. So let's begin with the passive tree. So this is the passive tree that I'm having right now. It's quite different from before I'm passing through here. The differences is this passive tree have more damage, but it lacking attributes. So you will need some attribute from your gear. For example, like mine here, I get a lot of attribute from my rings. And then for the anointment, I'm taking unbending for 3% maximum life. And for the ascendancy, it's still the same, Hellhound, and then Altered Flesh, and Baydat Wield, and these 2 small life not over here. And the reason why I'm going life stacking is because the more life you have, the more spirit you get because of this Baydat Wield over here. And that's the reason why I have this much spirit. So, the rest of the tree is pretty self-explanatory. This is a crit setup, so we do take crit here. And there's another cluster for crit here, and this is crit damage bonus, and this is also crit here and crit damage bonus, so it's pretty straightforward. For defensive layer, I'm still using Mind Over Matters, I think because that works really well with the life stacking. I can use as ES version 1, but to find the gear that have a lot of life, also a lot of ES, also a lot of like resistance, it's kind of hard to get. So for now, I'm happy with the Mind Over Matters. So in my opinion, the defensive works just fine. I rarely die. When I die, it's either like I'm not responding to things, or like there's like random one shot from like, I don't know, pack a monster that shoot at the same time or something like that. But other than that, the defensive, I think it's pretty good. And the next one, let's talk about the jewel, because we do use quite a lot of jewel. And for jewel, the number one stat you're looking for is critical hit chance. The second stat that you're looking for is critical damage bonus or minion damage. There's also another stat like minion attacks and cast speed, but I think the number is a little bit too low. So I prefer these other three stats. And ideally, you want to have like critical chance, critical damage, and minion damage. But that can be very expensive. So what I can suggest is go for critical hit chance, and pick either critical damage or minion damage. Both of them is fine. I think critical damage is a little bit better because we do have quite a lot of increased damage from the tree, so having critical damage bonus is better. And I think that's it for the tree. It's pretty self-explanatory. And there is also another jewel that do like this. This is Time Lost Sapphire. It have increased effect of small passive bonus. We can put it over here. This one is very, very expensive, and I think this is pretty hard to get. So if you can get this one, the increased effect is really good. And the next one I think is minion cast speed, because minion cast speed is pretty hard to get from the tree. We only get like here, and this like cast speed node, small cast speed node over here. So cast speed is pretty rare stats. And next, let's talk about the items. So for the scepter, the first thing you want to have is plus for minion, spirit, and ally have increased cast speed. This is one of very few way you can get a lot of cast speed just from one source. So I highly suggest go for this cast speed. This will increase your damage by quite a lot. And for the others that you can get is ally in presence have increased critical chance or critical damage or increased damage. So that's three stats you can try to put into the scepter. But I think the most important part is plus for minion, increased spirit, and increased cast speed. And the next one is the helmet. The helmet, the most important part is life, plus 2 minions, and resistance. So try to find that 3 stat first. So for the extra stat, just focus on like mana or attribute, because you will need both of them. And for the chest, you're looking for life and resistance. And for chest, try to get a really big roll of life. And when you get more currency, you start to look for spirit. And if you can, look for these specific bases because it have spirit on the implicit. And for the amulet, you're looking for life, minion skills, and resistance. And after you have more currency, now you can start to look for spirit. Spirit will be always the last priority. It's just because the cost of item that have spirit is really, really high. It's pretty expensive. And early on, the most important part is not dying. So you can keep level up, you can keep getting stronger. And you do not need this many spirit in the first place. You do not need this many minions. And the reason why I have it, because I'm trying to push as big of number, as much spirit as I can. This is, I want to see like how much spirit you can actually get. But to be honest, I don't think you need this many spirit. And this is why I do not recommend to go for spirit early on. It can get very, very expensive. And for the shield, I'm using Oxthorn. This is because it gives spirit, gives resistance. This is pretty good shield. But if you need some resistance, you can just use a rare shield and try to look for like life, resistance, attribute, something like that. Try to get all the stuff you need first. And after that, you can move to Oxthorn. And for the boots, you're looking for movement speed, at least 25%. Having a movement speed is really, really important in PoE 2. And other than that, you're looking for life and resistance. And for the glove, it's life and resistance. If you have extra, you can put in mana. Mana is pretty good. And for the belt, this is mandatory. The damage taken recoup as mana. This is our main recovery for the mana. You do not need the corrupted versions. The normal version is 50% of damage taken. This one is corruption. This item is pretty cheap, so just get the normal one first. If you have more currency, you can look for the one that have corruptions. And for the charms, I'm just using the frozen charms. I just hate being frozen. I don't think this matters that much. So that's the items. And the next one, let's talk about the skill gem. And for the Infernal Hellhound, I'm going with Mid Shield, Elemental Army, and Last Gasp. This is basically just a defensive player for the Hellhound because Infernal Hound take 20% damage for you. So keep these things alive as much as possible. It will be very, very good for your defense. And the next one is Magnified Effect and Wildfire. This is really not necessary. You probably can go for something like Cooling Strike. It's like 5% damage, like why not? And for the Frostmate, Arcane Tempo, more cast speed, Scatter Shot. This is what allow the shotgun. And the Feeding Frenzy, more damage. The take 20% more damage, so far it not a problem. But in difficulty 4, as you see on the showcase, they do die. But this is a very, very good DPS gem, and we don't have that much options. And the next one is Cold Mastery. And for this last slot, there is an options. For the clear, I will use Wild Shard. This is very, very good. Thank you for the suggestion from the comments on my last video. This gem make the clear become fantastic. And for the single target, I'm just switching this with Minion Mastery. This will give the Frostmage more damage. And there's another gem options, and this is super critical. This will increase the critical damage bonus, but it will lower your crit chance. Now, the problem with this one is, if you see over here, I have 40%. And if I equip this, I'm going down to 32. So this is the problem that I have with super critical. I think it feels like you have more DPS, but it feels very inconsistent because your critical chance is a little bit too low. So I will suggest just go for Minion Mastery and Cold Mastery. I think that it's more consistent. And for the crit chance itself on the Frost Mage, I will suggest at least get like around 40%. Because I think 40% plus critical weakness, the crit is pretty consistent with the Frost Mage. And I'm using one Storm Mage. And this one actually shock because this is crit setup. So this is the only reason why I'm using Storm Mage, because it does shock when it crit. So for the gem setup is overcharge. This is increase the magnitude of the shock. The duration doesn't really matter because as long as the Infernal Helm is alive, the ignite is basically permanent. So the durations of the shock doesn't really matter because we have a Stormfire, which basically make the shock do not expire on an ignited enemy. And we also pair that with conductions, did increase chance to shock. And I'm putting Lightning Mastery just for it to get extra DPS. And for the Pain Offering, I'm using Ablations. This increase the effect of the offering. It's make your offering more powerful, but it does sacrifice your life, so there's a little bit of a downside. And the expense is +6 cooldown, but it gives you 50% more AoE. So far, I don't have a problem with the cooldown. And Font of Blood, this is to give life regens. And Persistence, it's to increase the duration of the Pain Offering. And for the Hyperthermia, Inspiration to reduce the cost. Heighten Curse, so increase the effect of the curse. And Focus Curse, this is to reduce the activation from the delay. And for the last one is Hex Bloom. This one is optional. This is mostly for mapping, and you can actually use it interchangeably with this one, depending on if you're on maps or if you're on bosses. I'm still using Bling, so if I'm not using Bling, this is like 2 extra Force Mage. The reason why I'm using Bling is because, I don't know, I like Bling. I really love this skill. It does save my ass multiple times, so I'm still going to use Bling. And Frostbomb, pair it with Strip Away to increase the effect of the exposure. And Concentrate Extraction, this one is not necessary. It doesn't really matter. And for the Eye of Winter, this one is needed only to apply the critical weakness. We have Malice on the Scepter, but Malice on the Scepter is a little bit too slow in terms of stacking the critical weakness debuff. So in the end of the day, I don't think the base on the Scepter matters. Just use the Eye of Winter to apply the critical weakness. It's a lot faster. I pair it with less projectile speed and Unleash. Now the less projectile speed I don't think is necessary, but I do at least recommend using Unleash because we do not want to spam the End of Winter. You just want to use it to apply critical weakness. That's about it. So that's it about the setup. This is a very comfortable build to play. I like it a lot. And if you play Minion, I highly suggest try this one out. So if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comment below. I will try my best to answer it. And if you like the video, consider like and subscribe. That will help the channel a lot. So thank you everyone for watching. I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day.